Hi, kids. Do you like violence? Want to see Mystic 9-inch nails to each one of my eyelids? Uh-huh. Want to copy me and do exactly like I did? Try sin and get fucked up. Worst of my life is...
Venom!
Denim. Okay.
I'm wearing that denim.
I love denim. I was listening to... Okay, we're just going to start the show. Welcome to Sad Boys, a podcast about feelings and other things also. I'm Jarvis.
Venom! And I'm Jordan. What's
and
up?
I'm Eminem. I'm Marshall Ann Mathers, attorney at law.
I don't know if now is the most enviable time to be Eminem. You might want to put that
Wait,
on
is
ice for a little while.
Eminem canceled or something? Did he do something bad?
No, he's not cancelled. He's just modern Eminem.
I know.
what
You know,
mean?
it's funny. Like, I think I can empathize with modern Eminem. Like, the fact that...
Yeah, you've fallen from grace.
I just, like, never give up on anybody is kind of my thing. I just, like, once I become a fan... I can never not become a stan. I can never unstan. You know what I mean?
You're like Boyz to Men. You're fan to stan.
I'm a fantano. Man, yo.
In that regard. Internet's busiest sad boy.
Internet's busiest boy.
What if we just took it? What if we just said that every episode?
You know, it's not a bad idea.
He could just take his huge platform and murder us both. That would be neat.
Today we are going topicless because we just want to chat and be boys. And
Did you say going topless?
we're going topless.
I love that.
We might do the show more like this in the future because I think it's more fun. And I also want to have cool titles for the show that are just like based on jokes that we talk about. And
it's a classic flow.
And we'll
It's
always
old school.
talk about particular topics via questions that we take from our community and stuff like that. So, and we will have topic episodes if there's something on our mind, but it's just more about like how we frame the show. We're experimenting.
But maybe we'll take questions from you and then imagine that I was pointing at
Imagine that you were pointing. We are recording this on twitch.tv/sadboyspod as we are now doing. It's kind of the thing. I think it's here to stay.
I think
And
so,
if you
yeah.
don't like it...
And maybe a couple eps a week streaming. We're thinking about it. We're planning
the plan,
it. We don't know when or how or
Yeah,
if.
the plan is 2 a week. We'll see. We've got a few in the can right now. We're getting those edits done. And
those are the bad ones.
We're making some plans for some YouTube situations. We're honestly... We're becoming men. We're becoming the sad men.
We were boys.
Not to be confused with mad men.
Let me outline
We're not
this for
mad
you.
men. We're sad men.
I don't think either of us would thrive in the old school Mad Men environment.
Well, partially because we are black.
Very aggressive.
and the times were different.
Not if we work together.
Not if we work together. That's true.
Not if we fusion high.
Yes.
Oh, God, lame. Venom.
Venom. I'm going to turn off my air because not only is it creating feedback sound, it's making me cold.
Just make the same jokes.
Did you see the email that I got? I tweeted, someone sent me an email saying that I had a really impressive LinkedIn profile. They're hiring for engineering careers at unnamed very large software company that has had an issue with swaying elections, let's say. Reached out with a cold...
Who knows?
Who can be sure? Reached out with a sourcing, like recruiting email that says, asked me if I was enjoying my job as video boy at the online and if I was considering
That's
other
great.
careers.
I was actually looking at your LinkedIn maybe 15, 20 minutes ago because I was trying to see if I could find some cool facts about you on Wikipedia and like cross-reference them. But they're all bang on. You are 6'9".
True.
Because you thought that was a cool number. You celebrate every 420 every single day, but you don't do it with weed, and we're not allowed to say what it is.
I can't.
And you
I blaze it, but
actually,
not what you're thinking.
I blaze
it.
You know what I mean?
I blaziken.
Were you ever close to being a... Did you ever have like a stoner moment? Did you ever get close?
No.
No? Never ever?
It's just not my... It's weird. My brain just doesn't do the stoner thing. It like just doesn't... Even if I smoke weed, it doesn't like happen for me in the way. It's like I just laugh at more stuff, but it's also not fun for me.
No, not particularly.
Yeah, and that's weird.
I've heard that's... I believe it's an ADHD thing.
I think it could be
probably
an
the same
ADHD thing, yeah.
As is the boost in paranoia.
I never really had a paranoia boost, though I did get... The last time I got really high was when Donald Trump got elected.
Celebration.
Yeah, it was just like fucking. I was like, let me.
Finally, representation for me.
Representation matters, everybody. And yeah, it was not a fun time. So maybe there's just an association there.
No, I'm with you. I was a very optimistic smoker for, I don't know, like all of 2017. I smoked maybe 5 days a week, every day when I got home. And I had fun twice.
Yeah, I do.
In the course of a year.
I, for a while, was doing like CBD gummies before bed to like help me sleep. And I'm not anti that. I think it was having an effect. The problem is it's like really hard to pick these things up. Like, it's like, is it doing something? Is this placebo? Whatever. But
we can do a deep dive on that when we get Pete Holmes on the show.
Well, the problem with me and why I don't have an addictive personality to any particular substance is because I was actually gifted a bunch of CBD gummies from a friend of mine who worked at a company who does that thing. He sent me a bunch of bottles of these gummies, and as soon as I ran out of them, I never sought getting them again. You know what I mean? So like while I had them, I was like using them routinely. And then when I ran out, there was something in me that was like, I don't need this anymore. Like it was less I don't need this and more I had no interest in going and getting it. Similar to like alcohol. Like if alcohol is in my apartment, I'll consume it. And when I run out, I like can forget that alcohol exists for like months at a time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Are you in the same boat as me? Is that if alcohol is in my house, I will burn through it slowly but every day, because I'm just curious.
I do get through it for sure.
You blaze it, you say?
Can't say what I blaze, sorry.
I'd like some speculation over email.
Yeah, it's like what is he blazing?
Direct DM to Jarvis.
Someone's on the subreddit, like we don't have a subreddit, but we have a Discord
for this. They make one this.
Specifically for this theory, an unsolved mystery.
Okay, now somebody actually will.
So a couple of things I want to get to. Before the pod, we were talking about the life and career of Eminem, and also hip hop. And you were talking about some rap beefs. We were talking about the Eminem versus Machine Gun Kelly beef, and then you were talking about a beef between some rap YouTubers or something.
Yeah, I was talking about Tom McDonald, who is a rap artist predominantly known. Yes, Tom McDonald had a farm. Says slightly racial related stuff. E-I-E-I-A.
Oh, okay. E-I-E-I-O, no.
So IE, he creates a lot of tracks. He got like a big hit out of a track he made called White Boy. That was all about his struggles as a white boy. That's literally the hook.
That's tough, actually. It's
which, finally.
I know. It's like, just get your voice out there, people. Like,
it makes me want to smoke weed to celebrate again.
Smoke weed every day.
If you want or don't, it's up to you. It's funny that people don't listen to the radio edit where that's included. Smoke weed every day if it helps improve your quality of life.
Weirdly censored out. I don't know why they did that. It seems like that would have been a helpful message. Nancy Reagan.
I like that as a sweat.
It's like Kelly Clarkson from 40-Year-Old Virgin. Nancy Reagan.
There is a number of tracks that he's made based on saying just sort of post-Trump era, this'll spice up the libs, absolutely epically owning the libs through tracks about like soy boys, etc. And then Mac Lethal came out the woodwork and put out something about I'm so sick of artists doing X and Y, basically alluding to the same thing. Yeah. Seemed as though he was subtweeting him. Supposedly he actually had no idea who he was, which I don't think is impossible. It's not like Tom McDonald EAEAO was the only person doing it. They got into kind of a back and forth beef, but it was like such a dad beef that it really didn't have a lot of flame to it. Then Tom McDonald released genuinely a pretty well produced diss track, especially in the video. The video is very high quality. Then Mac replied to it with like a kind of mixed and definitely not as current, like the instrumental and the presentation wasn't as strong, but he does it in one take live, and his flow is much stronger, and the things he brings up when it's good things are the best things by far. He snipes some really specific stuff. He like found out that he's been lying about his height for a really long time. He's like almost a foot. No, Mac Lethal is very comfortably a tiny Midwest dad, but Tom McDonald has been lying, saying he was like 6'3" on his album cover and stuff, and he's actually like 5'6".
That's funny.
which
He's actually
as we
3'6".
both know,
He just
is
got it.
bad.
He just got it in reverse.
How embarrassing. Yeah, 3'6", the sex number. Wait, isn't it 3'6" is Tekashi?
Tekashi 3'6".
That's his son.
369. Damn so Tekashi.
369.
I've been watching. Okay, so we've been talking about hip hop a fair amount, and I have to say I've become obsessed with the new YouTube channel to the extent the extent where I have gone as far as to reach out to the creator of the channel to try and befriend him. And I also think it would be cool to get him on the show if we can at some point, because that's how much of a stan I am at this point. But it's this guy Traplore Ross. He's just like I think he's just like a dude. He's like my age, a British boy. I think he lives in London. He's like got an encyclopedic knowledge of hip hop culture and stuff. Clearly a lifelong fan, to the point where he's like making all of these like, he'll like make jokes about like, neighborhoods in LA and stuff, where it's like clearly he's absorbed the culture to the point of he can make references to shit where I'm like, you didn't grow up with, like, you didn't like, you had to seek this information out.
Yeah, this is like semi-pro.
Yeah, and he's his content, it's all of his videos are better than mine, but that's easy.
No, that's not.
And it's all
my videos are better than yours.
It's true. Yeah, he puts out so much content that's so high quality that I'm just impressed. And he's very funny. Also, he's funnier than I am, and just like continues like it's basically I just want to be everything that he is. And he's made like, I don't know, 3 hours of video essay on 6ix9ine to the point where
I actually watched about half of that. I was very compelled.
Okay, he's a good creator, right? Like his videos are very well put together. He know like the 6ix9ine, like I just like from the beginnings of this guy's career to the trial, I'm like finding myself empathizing with this man and being like, huh, yeah, interesting. Like what a complex character study.
Maybe I should take over the Bloods.
And that's kind of fun. Like I think it's cool that, you know, we have these like, you know, 6ix9ine is like a snitch or whatever. Like that's the narrative, but then it's cool to kind of get to the, like kind of see all this stuff put together and have a greater appreciation and understanding for like, I don't know, an important figure in hip hop at the moment.
Wait, do you want to shout out the channel?
So shout outs again to Traplore Ross. Just search up Traplore Ross on YouTube. He's a great creator. Great.
By the by, can you maybe we can just do this from the VOD, but can you give me record permissions? Because my camera's being real. It's acting up in some really weird ways, and I don't necessarily.
Yes, I can.
Do it. You're scaring me. I bet.
Let's find out how I do that. Can I maybe right click you? Maybe go to more. Maybe allow record. Haha. Look at that.
Yeet. Yeah, possibly we'll need to use the VOD. It's just my camera is 250 years old and 240p for the most part, so it might not be bringing the heat we need it to.
Yeah, and also while we're doing a little thing, there's some I don't know, trolls in the chat. Don't feed the trolls. And if anybody's like trolling or spamming or whatever, doesn't even matter what you're talking about or saying, you're gonna get timed out or you might get banned. So don't even do the attention seeky shit because it's gonna not be worth your while. Let me just say that.
It's also like, dude, there's so much fun stuff you could be doing.
True.
You played games.
True.
Or like watched a stream. Yeah. I mean, there's all these streams on here, man. You could be having a whale of a time.
It's pretty wild.
Louis Buchan right now is playing The Sims 4. That's being recommended to me.
It's pretty cool, the internet, is what I have to say.
You like the internet? Name 3 websites.
Well, easy. www.
Mm-hmm. Shit, that's a big
that's dot.
Fuck.
Website.com. So that's one.
That is true. Doesn't that go to like CNET or something?
It might. It's incredible like how many domains like that are canned. Where did website.com go?
Do you want to guess what it goes to?
I'm hoping not like anything pornographic.
It goes to website.com, which is like a website builder. It's like
that's actually sick. Good job. They probably paid like $1 million for that domain.
Well, they bought it from CNET or whoever it was that owned it, because I remember it being like a pretty significant... Oh, no, wait, is it www.internet.com actually?
I don't know.
Nope, that's internet.com.
It's an internet builder.
Do you want it to be?
Jordan,
Also, it's the 80s.
How was your week?
I was okay.
Yeah?
It was fine, fairly mediocre. I'm in a bad cycle. We talked about it before.
For sure.
I am trying to get out of a place in my life where everything I talk about is just mental health.
But dude,
bad.
It's
what I need is a podcast to express it. Yeah, it's not been. I don't know. It's been a pretty bad cycle, pretty unhealthy back and forth for a while now. Big part of it is that my sleep schedule, which I had under control for a number of years, despite generally being bad, I have like a great medication that really helps me with it. I've just completely fucked over by staying up basically till 4 every day just so I can talk to people. Like it's the only time my friends are awake and not working.
I feel that.
So it's become like a dangerous cycle where I'm sacrificing one of two needs. Yeah. Like Maslow's hierarchy's there, man. Yeah. And I do need to spend time with people. And I do need to not get up at like 3 p.m. every day. But today especially, I'm past it now for whatever reason. I think that's just how it works. Your brain cocks like a shotgun, fills up your dopamine and serotonin over time. But today was the worst day in a really long time. I was literally just like screaming into a pillow. I punched a file cabinet really hard.
Careful, but
not to flex, but I did before I hit it, and my hand hurts. But yeah, I thought about whether or not I wanted to talk about it on the show, and for whatever reason, once we start doing the show, it does the exact opposite of what I thought it would do, which is like doesn't climb me up. It makes me go like, ooh, let's get silly. Let's really open up. Let's get a little.
I think that's important. I think it's like cool that the show like feeds us. We've talked about that before, and also I share the same sentiment. Like, I want the show to be a place where we can talk about our feelings whenever we want, but also I want to get goofy because I like to have fun and I like to just do, random shit on the internet, and it doesn't always have to be that serious. But
which I don't think is like a huge deviation from the way we communicate. That's what's weird, right? I don't think, camera is not working, but I'm recording. Okay. There is am I a little wonky? I'm a little wonky in the Twitch, I think.
Oh yeah, you are. Oh, you know why? It's because I resized the window. Let me fix that. Let's see if I fixed it.
I thought you liked the internet.
I did fix it. Cool. Someone said, Jarvis, read the comments. What's happening?
Is that wise?
I don't know. What's happening?
I don't think anything particularly significant.
Okay.
I mean, shout out to the comments. We'll chat to you after the main episode, and we'll chat to you beforehand.
Yeah.
But
Cool. Yeah, everybody.
Keep ticking because we don't want to not get to chat to you.
Yeah. We'll be chatting. Long. Just behave. Everything's good. Everything's fine.
Be nice.
All right.
You know what? Actually, if you don't want to be nice, be really nice.
All right. I'm not looking at the chat right now. I'm just looking at your beautiful face, Jordan.
Thanks, man. But yeah, I was going to say, like, it's not a deviation from the way we generally communicate because we don't really switch it on for the show. Usually, I've called you quite a few times recently, just in desperate need of like, oh fuck, man, I don't know what. I am crashing so hard, and we joke every time.
Yeah,
like I don't call you up, and it's just stinky sad
100%.
times. Like there's always a bit of a meme.
You're always crashing. By Pete, HBO show by Pete Holmes, canceled in its third
and just
season.
Like him, I am canceled.
Yeah.
Wait, his show. Sorry, just like his show. Pete Holmes is not canceled.
Pete Holmes is not canceled.
Nor is his subscription to DB Gummies
or HBO Max. He's still
HBO Gummies.
He's still subscribed. I want the show to be a reflection of that. Like, I think that, what I was going to say to you is that, like, these things come in cycles, and it's okay if, like, right now you're going through a thing because, this too shall pass type shit, we'll like, I think that I always want to support you where you're at, meet you where you're at, and know that you know what you need to do, and you're going to move past that in your due time. And if you need help from me in any way other than like the support I'm already giving, then you know that I'm always game to help out.
What that truly after that I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima and it's not that interesting. Jarvis, how are you? What's your week been like?
Week has been good. I often judge my weeks by how productive I was, which is a toxic behavior. but I think what I want to judge my week by is like how genuinely excited I am about the show. Been doing a lot. Jordan like kicked off some new like art and branding for us, and then I've been running with that and playing around with it and putting it on our different socials. And so that's been cool. It's like we've also got a new Instagram page, instagram.com/sadboyspod. I'm trying to get the plug on all the social media websites to hook us up with /sadboys with a Z. We'll see if we can get that. If not, no big deal. But like we're basically like Jordan and I had some meetings this week. We're making moves with the pod. We're really excited to like share all of that stuff with you all. And yeah, it's like it's a brand new frontier, and I'm pretty excited about it because it kind of makes me feel like when I was early on with YouTube and like really hungry to figure out like how to get everything popping. And I've also been really excited with YouTube stuff again recently. Like I mean, I'm currently I wrote this like giant script about Instagram, the king of Instagram, Dan Bilzerian, this like rich guy who his entire brand is that he's rich and he thinks he's Hugh Hefner, and he always has like models in bikinis surrounding him at every,
and it's all legitimate and reliable, of course.
It's all legit, all above board. It came out that his like company that does marijuana but also everything else, they sell literally everything you could possibly sell. They lost $50 million in 1 year, and it turns out
like a real mogul,
like
dude.
A real mogul,
badass, bro.
Yeah, it came out in this lawsuit that the company paid for like all of this dude's personal expenses, and that's like contributing to the loss. And it kind of feels like this man's business and kind of mask is slipping when it comes to this like persona. And so it's interesting. The dude is a straight up maniac. Like the worst thing he did was like during the 2017 Las Vegas shooting, he was like there and had his friend filming him from behind, running around like it's fucking Gears of War in like a third person perspective.
Oh, fuck.
And then he like asked a cop for a gun, and there's this clip that I could not put in my video because I wanted the video to say pretty lighthearted. There's a clip where he's like asking an officer for a gun, and the officer is like, "I don't know who you are," and he's like, he's like, "Give me a gun. I'm like a superhero." Haven't you seen my Instagram?
Have you been on Male Soul on Instagram? I'm actually pretty prevalent.
Have you not seen a motivational meme with my face on it?
Do you only look at the ones with Jared Leto's Joker or some shit?
And so and then he's like, "I'm a cop," and he's like, I don't know you. It like doesn't matter if
I don't believe you.
And then he's like, "Here's my creds," and he's like, who are you? There's an active shooter situation happening. I am trying to like do my job, and you're distracting me. That's basically the vibe he's giving off. And he's also
what were his creds? Look, would a cop not have this many followers?
Great question. So his creds, which he legitimately like showed to a real police officer and asking him for his weapon, are credentials.
A really high KD on Call of Duty.
He bought police credentials from this like reserve police force in New Mexico for $400. The actual police force that he has credentials from does not have any police in it. It's like a reserve police force, and so it's like kind of just like
a volunteer firefighter.
Like it seems like the police chief in this town is like sketchy, and he'll like give credentials to celebrities and people for like $400. And so this man is like not really a police officer, and he's like trying to pass off his like weird ass New Mexico credentials as like why this officer should give him a gun, because the dude has a hero complex like I've never seen. Like it's like who else would film himself trying to look like a hero, and in Las Vegas.
And also, who else would present himself as like jacked Hugh Hefner in the modern age and not see that that's like comically
Dude, it's
done?
crazy because
It's so lame. That's the thing. Like, it's so easy to like critique him for being like overly bravado or losing his money and all the very legitimate stuff that we've talked about or we're talking about. But like the third factor is just like, dude, like not cool. Not cool to be that way.
He's also got the his style. He like likes to pretend that he doesn't give a shit about anything because that's that like bro-y, like, bro, like, don't even give a shit.
I mean, that's cool.
But he clearly gives a giant shit. His Instagram, but dude, the hero complex thing, I like don't know if I can show this video in my video, but his Instagram story from the Las Vegas shooting starts off with him like saying some really like crazy shit about like the carnage that he just saw, like because someone was shot near him, and it's like, this is very insensitive, first of all. And then like 2 hours, and he's like, we're gonna try and find a gun, and then he's like doing the thing, and then 2 hours go by, of which like we've seen what fills in that time from this other third person video, and then the last thing he posts in his story is like, all right, I'm gonna head home, looks like there's nothing more we can do. And it's like, no shit, man. You're just like a random dude. But the quotes from this man, he's like, I just wanted to get in there and like kill the guy or whatever. It's like, he's like got this weird obsession with like justice and like, I wanted to be the one to, like, he has a quote where he said that his biggest fear is that someone would break into his home and he wouldn't know which gun to shoot them with. It's like a joke. It's cool, like it's dude. Like
oh whoa,
it's
cool,
such
dude.
a joke. It's like toxic masculinity embodied.
It's so dumb, right? Because it's just the dude that has a knife thing, like the guy with a knife at the party, or a guy that like does Muay Thai and like at the first provocation will like fucking throw up his dukes and just start moving around. It's like, hey girls, did you see? Did anybody see this thing that I've been investigating? Actually, was like paying off and was actually super sick. It's like, I actually don't even know what gun to shoot him with. I actually have like a lot of training experience with the U.S. Army, not so much the Army, but like my dad's friend that saw the Army once. Yeah, just like lame.
His interviews, like he was on Larry King, which is pretty absurd. But there's this other interview where people are just.
Recently?
A couple years ago. Well, recently, what's funny is that CNBC put out this house tour of his $65 million mansion, and they're like, Dan Bilzerian, Instagram heartthrob, Hugh Hefner, modern whatever, owns this $65 million home or whatever. And then it comes out that actually, no, his company rents it for $200,000 a month. He does not own it. And when he left, his neighbors celebrated. Yeah, and then and he did leave because like it's Corona times, and then the president of his company was like, hey, maybe we don't need a $200,000 super mansion during a pandemic. And his response was that he needs it because he wants to host pool parties in the summer. So yeah.
Oh shit. Wait, did they have a response to that? Because that actually is.
I mean, yeah. Right. The response was he did leave the place. So.
Okay, right. Cowardice was the way to go.
But yeah, in one of his interviews, everyone like softballs him questions, like they've got a hard on for like this, like he's living life. His episode of Joe Rogan is absolutely insane.
Well, fucking surprise, right? This dude is a living kettlebell shaped like an ape. Like it's literally Joe Rogan's fetish.
Joe Rogan doesn't let him get off with like and I don't talk about this in the video because I wanted to limit Joe Rogan clips, but so before the Joe Rogan thing, I wanted to say that like all the interviews are like tossing him up these softballs because they're clearly like enamored with his persona, and they're like, is it true that you had sex 9 times in one day? And it's like, who gives a shit? Like,
is this the Bachelor?
I know, right? And then he's like, I know.
In a windmill.
Exactly, 4 times. Yeah. And he was like, and his like face lights up and he's like, I didn't even want to have sex the 9th time, but when a hot girl wants to sleep with you, you don't say no. And I'm like, maybe you do say no.
This is some middle school shit. This is some early high school shit. I actually wouldn't even know which move to use on them. I actually have too many holes. My biggest fear actually is that like
I'm surrounded by a bunch of hot women and I don't know who to have sex with.
Yeah, I'm actually my only issue. The doctor said that I'm actually my heart beats too fast because I'm actually too epic.
So
I'm actually the most epic win bacon person.
So
ever.
The big story is like also his so Joe Rogan, to his credit, doesn't let him get off with like non-answers to questions. So he will like repeatedly ask him like, wait, so how do you have your money again? And he's like, poker, because he earned $50 million playing poker in 1 year, which is more than any professional poker player has won in their lifetime career. No one's ever won that much money playing poker, but he did do it.
He must be really good.
So he's not. The poker community has like analyzed his stuff and gone, he's actually not good at the game. And then he's like, no, but I'm just playing with these like high rollers or whatever. And it's like, well, how did you get there? And then it comes out that, well, not it comes out, but it's like he's the son of this corporate takeover specialist who
That fucking rules. How do I get into a position
where basically
like that?
They would like,
that's when you know all of the kicks.
Where he would essentially take over companies and like sell them for parts. And he was like, the SEC sued him for like misdealings or something to the tune of like $62 million. And he like owed them this money and only ever paid like $3 million of it. And so then there's this question of like, where's the money? And everyone thinks he's like sort of created like an onion of trusts in different shell companies to like hide the money away. And then he like left the US. So now he lives in like St. Kitts or whatever. And he renounced US citizenship. Meanwhile, his son like has $50 million out of nowhere. And it's like, yeah, poker, I guess. And so like Dan Bilzerian keeps being like,
that is what a kid would think of. Like, oh, I don't know, fuck it. I found a gold mine.
It's like, I actually just found a rare doubloon under the ground, and that's...
Yeah. Me and my friends who went by the Goonies, we found a pirate's treasure chest.
And so it's pretty absurd. Joe Rogan like keeps asking him, wait, how did you get your money? And then he's also like, I was almost a Navy SEAL. And he's like, I completed Navy SEAL basic training 3 times and they kicked me out for like calling my superior a pussy. So it's like, of course,
being too strong,
of course, it's basically like I was too strong and so I got kicked out. I fired the gun
at too one
point,
well.
None of the stories make any sense. At one point he says that he completed basic training, of which he like completed half of the Navy SEAL training. Like there's phase 2 and 3 and he completed phase 1.
That's the
That's the hard part.
That's based on how many followers you can get. Yeah, it's the poker rounds.
He said that one of the times he did it, he completed it with 2 broken legs, and I'm like
bullshit.
What do you like? I just don't understand. You know what I mean?
Does he say how he broke his legs, or it was?
I don't know, but he's like,
did he start it with 2 broken legs? Because I feel like you could have rescheduled.
Like, are you saying that you like did physical trials with 2 broken legs and succeeded at this thing? I just like that's not even a smart move in general. Even if you weren't BSing, that's a dumb thing to do because it's like would theoretically fuck up your body.
Well, that's the high school element of it, right? Because it's not that rational. There's not enough thought put into it. But it's like I actually smoked like so many cigarettes that I was like coughing up blood, and that's in the moment. It's like, whoa, that's so fucking epic. And then you take 15 minutes and think about it. You're like opening the fridge at night. And you're like, he's dying. I mean, that's crazy. Why would you do that? It's not cool. It's dumb.
In his defense, he did have 2 consecutive heart attacks at age 25. I think like due to all the cocaine he was doing or something, like he had to like heart attacks. And then Joe Rogan asked him like, wait, what's a heart attack exactly? And then like, he's like, I should know because I've had 2 of them, but I don't know. And so it's just like, okay.
I knew after the first and the second one.
It's just what a cool guy is all I'm saying.
But you're too scared to make a video about him.
I made the video about him, and my long-winded answer of like why my day is going well or why my week is going well is because normally when I film, and this was a long script, I wrote like 3,600 words or something, which is probably like hopefully a 25-minute video at the end of the day, but
not. I mean, we should say it wasn't in sentence form. It's just a bunch of words you really like.
I was just like red balloon, 15.
Yeah.
Name 3 words. Oh yeah, you wrote some words. Name 3.
You like linguistics?
Name a word. Name a single fucking word. You dumb donkey.
Could think of a word.
People say your mic is a little staticky, but I don't hear that. I don't hear
really?
it. It's so it must be coming from me because it's not coming from you.
I'll adjust my gain a skosh. Could be peaking. I don't think so.
You sound loud and clear to moi. Anyway, what do you say? So anyway, my week was good because I filmed like for 2 hours and I didn't like feel exhausted at the end of it, which is a new thing for me. Like normally when I film, I'm like, I can only, if I'm doing one thing in the day, it's filming because I just get super beat after it. But I didn't. And I even did some editing afterward, which is kind of crazy. I've been thinking about doing an editing stream as well. Like
that's a really cool idea.
Because I know how to get all the audio sort of set up, but
I could get in there, give you tips, but like not helpful at all. It's not like about editing. I don't know. We didn't know as much as one another. It would not be helpful. But I hop in there and I'm just like, don't like it. You're like, don't like what? And it's like, it's no good.
We should
just like post that.
We should do some late night streams where I fuck up my sleep for you so that you can. Yeah,
that sounds great.
Yeah, it'd be a fun time.
We got 1 or 2 in. Oh, question. How long do you see yourself doing YouTube? Big fan of Jarvis. Keep doing what you love. Respect, brother. Respect. Hey, Jarvis.
Hey,
respect your brother.
My brother, and me. I mean, I don't see myself. I'm like not looking past YouTube right now in my like vision, if that makes sense. So it's
sure. I mean, YouTube is sort of a relative term, right? Because it's making stuff, but I mean, the same question could have been applied to like, when do you see yourself not doing tech videos?
Yeah, it's like anymore? I'm not going to pull.
That's not what YouTube is. It's just a piece of the pie.
I'm not gonna pull a Logic and like retire from the rap game, you know.
But you are going to release some underwhelming albums, is that right?
Look, those albums are for somebody, and that somebody is me because I do enjoy them. They're also for LeBron James, who's also a fan of Logic.
Sorry, Bobby.
And Bobby himself.
And well, apparently, as TMG proved, if we roast Bobby, he just comes on the show.
Hold on. Logic, Bobby, come on, please. Come on.
Wait, no, you got to roast him.
I hate it. Oh my God. Under Pressure, trash. The Incredible True Story, trash.
You clearly put so much work in your art. It's
Bobby
why do so
Tarantino,
much?
trash.
Stop it.
No pressure, more like ass pressure. Yes, trash dude. Pressure. Yo,
Go off, King. You're crying. Come on, you can do this.
Logic, you're not even logical. Solving a Rubik's Cube's not even that hard.
Okay,
I can do it.
He comes on right now.
No, I actually quite like Logic. I like a lot about the guy. His like, I enjoy his music because it's interesting. Like, I have different expectations for different artists and different like things that I like about them, and like what I understand people's criticism of Logic, but at the same time, I'm having a grand old time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I enjoy the guy, and And I think he's got a good message. He's got a good heart. I loved watching him cry on stream, thanking Drake and Kendrick and like J. Cole, all while he was responding, all while he was talking about retiring from the game.
I think it's sort of a like music critique or like any kind of critique is interesting up to a point, but when it starts like reflecting on how interesting an artist should be, I don't like that shit. Like when, well, you know, Logic put out a couple of records I really didn't like, so this whole retiring thing, I don't know, maybe this is a space to roast him and
like,
bring that stuff up. And I'm like,
somebody,
it's not really relevant, to be honest. It's related, but then it's also like, okay, really specific pet peeve. I hate how movies and TV, general media production, even YouTubers and the like, and musical artists and the like, you are not allowed to get involved with a project that like doesn't do well or isn't prestige according to public brand. It's like Nick Cage's in a bunch of movies and people are always just like, oh, he's in all these shitty movies, therefore not as good as he would be if he didn't do those movies. Movies is not a fucking zero-sum game. Like, he likes acting, he likes also spending money, but he likes acting and clearly enjoys himself according to the interviews related to this show or the various movies he'll do. And the idea that if you do a thing that is not just great, it lowers your points. Like, it lowers your social capital, so you shouldn't have done it. And that's kind of where I'm at with Logic. Like, there's a decent chunk of his library that didn't super connect with me, but it doesn't detract from like how interesting a person he could be or whether or not he should keep making
it's also like a podcast, you know, like there might be a podcast that's like the best produced podcast in the world, and yet someone can still connect with a podcast that's just like two young, kind boys who just want to talk about their emotions, even though the product is like, you know, not as pristine, not as not good.
Really.
We
are talking about TMG, right?
No, I was talking about Gus and Eddie podcasts.
Yeah, of course. Finally,
I love all of you boys. Please come on the show and have us on yours. I was talking about our show.
We don't love one of you.
And we'll let you figure out who.
Yes, that's the right answer.
So, like, it just doesn't, like, if something connects with people and it's not harming anyone, like, I don't see the problem with it. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, it lives in the same bundle of like ice cold takes that kids just get intrinsically as like artists selling out. Like, the artist selling out is such an intuitive, like, yeah, dude, that sucks. And then you think about it for like 40 minutes and it's just like, well, what do you mean it sucks? It's not, going to the hospital isn't bad. I mean, I guess you could die at the hospital. It doesn't make the hospital bad. Like, the idea that you couldn't just play in a space or make great stuff while getting paid is that kind of thing that kids think, because it's
it's also just like,
and people are the same way about
people love to
body.
talk about how like somebody's fallen off or somebody's not doing anything. It's like, if you're not always succeeding in the public eye, then you're failing. Oh, I haven't seen that person in a movie in a long time, they fell off. I haven't seen that person make music in a while, they fell off. It's like, what does it matter? Everyone just wants to be a critic for some reason because they want to feel good about themselves, and for some reason it feels good to put down people who are doing something because, like, it's, you know, you maybe want to be validated in like what you're doing or what you're not doing. So it's like, well, this guy sucks, so even though I haven't, you know, contributed anything to the art world, I
at least the amount that I've contributed is like not as bad.
Yeah, at least I can.
Like, I've done nothing, but at least I didn't.
Yeah,
do,
they did
like,
negative by doing something. They did negative, and that means I'm more valid. And it's like, no, that's not how that works.
Yeah. Adam Sandler gave an amazing performance in Uncut Gems, but he's just going to release bad movies again, and that means that performance wasn't good for some reason.
If anything, it shows that Adam Sandler knows exactly what he's doing.
Also, he knows those movies aren't good.
That's exactly. It's like, that's not the point. Yeah.
It's not like okay, here's the thing. When it comes to Adam Sandler and a lot of the movies associated with his production company, sure, you can critique, like, yeah, it'd be nice to have better movies, and we know there's a lot of talent there and it wouldn't hurt to really be putting the hours in, but at the same time, there's a little bit of classism behind why people don't like these movies. Like, it's the fucking Seinfeld watchers of the world don't like the Adam Sandler movies, but they do exceptionally well. Same goes for Medea movies, but they do exceptionally well. And it's like, no, you're not valid because I didn't like what it was, so you shouldn't have done it. Get rid of the wrong Messier because I didn't like
100%.
watching it. So actually, The people that did actually
All right,
shouldn't have enjoyed it.
okay, so the Shane Dawson situation, I don't know if you guys are, it's kind of old news and kind of new news at the same time. So Shane Dawson, for those who don't know, is a YouTube juggernaut. He's been on the platform since I was a little boy. And he used to do like this weird shock jock form of comedy where he would just like say offensive things, and that was the punchline, question mark, like kind of like Anthony Jeselnik, but not funny. Like,
Oh, yeah.
and it's gotten him into a lot of trouble now because the cancel culture. And
Don't even get me started.
I know.
Why do we have to live in a time where people are accountable for their actions?
I know. It's just that like before they weren't accountable. So like I thought I was home free, but now unfortunately that is not the case.
I like doing what I wanted to.
Yeah. And so Shane Dawson kind of went through this giant transformation where he made a bunch of clickbait, like often sexualized stuff about like Miley Cyrus and other celebrities back in like 2007, 2008 or whatever. And then
Let's not forget, Miley Cyrus is how old now?
I don't even remember. I just like looked at some old titles of Shane Dawson videos because what I want to do is if I can find a bunch of his old videos and just like host them somewhere so that there's like a public record, because he like
She is not old enough for that to be okay.
All right, good. Because yeah, it's weird, but he was like doing this for shock value, I guess, and he's had a lot of so also that's not even the thing. So like he's done blackface more times than you could count. He's done
and it's mostly not been funny.
All kinds of like pedophilia jokes, like and you know, I will say that they are attempts at jokes. I'm not saying that he's a pedophile. I'm not saying that, you know, he is racist even. I'm just saying that he has a track record of objectionable content that he made under the guise of comedy that ultimately doesn't land, even in context. And he's apologized very like poorly. So his story,
and only when provocated.
Yeah, so
never like a straightforward, hey, yeah, you saw the blackface thing, let me jump on that and also address these other things over here. It was always fine. My dad told me I have to apologize.
Yeah, so he has like gone on H3H3 and said that, you know, every 2 years I get canceled for some reason. And it's like
this is some fucking evidence or some shit.
Yeah, and it's this weird thing where it boiled to a head. It boiled to a head recently because of the whole Tati Westbrook, James Charles, Jeffree Star drama. Are you familiar with this?
I'm familiar with most of the anime saga.
Yeah. So
I know the villains, but I know one of them joins the team or something. Yeah, it's
so essentially, like Tati Westbrook came out against James Charles a while back. It blew up. James Charles lost 3 million subscribers and then got them all back when he released his video. It kind of was like, no, he like actually isn't a bad guy in that way. And then there were some recent allegations because Tati made a video that implied that, or no, I don't remember what happened that implied that Shane Dawson, I don't remember what catalyzed this. It was probably something related to his Jeffree Star stuff.
sure.
Wait, let me see. People said it's staticky again.
Yeah, I spotted that. I'm just going to say some things.
Let me fix this using my patented dumb solution.
No, it's not my mic.
It's definitely not you. Okay.
RFTD DDS.
Is it
appreciate
fixed? Is it fixed?
Let me try.
Let us know in the chat.
How this? It sounds a little teensy bit clicky, kind of.
I think it sounds good. I think it sounds good.
Cool.
Okay. So anyway, she claimed that Shane and Jeffree Star pressured her into making this video about I just said his name, James Charles, Jesus. And
James Charles Jesus.
Oh, people said it's slowly getting worse again?
It's slowly getting worse again?
No, I don't hear that. Anyway,
it sounds fine. Yeah.
Cool. So, anyway, James Charles has like a big microscope on him now because of these claims. And then he makes this big statement about the beauty community and how he's like how he's leaving it behind. He kind of shits on it, even though he's not really a part of the makeup community, part of the beauty community. And
I'll also throw, just while it's on my mind, if people want a kind of like summary of that, season 1 of this whole drama, and they want it like articulated very well and kind of interestingly, check out Big Joel's video on it. Big Joel video essay, it's like a great video summarizing it, and then critiquing the pieces that need critiquing at a position where I'm like comfortable sharing this video.
So the video I actually want to talk about is, and while I'm giving this backstory, is a video by D'Angelo Wallace, who is a great creator. Funny story. Literally last night, D'Angelo Wallace DM'd me. We are not friends. We don't know each other. I followed him on Twitter, and he like DM'd me an animated story. It was like breast is best. No, but he like sent me an animated story, and I haven't responded yet because I was like starstruck. I need to like, but anyway, like he put together this video that is like very well researched and kind of puts a bunch of things in context. And I think everyone should watch it because it will change your perspective on Shane Dawson most likely. But anyway, the drama was Shane Dawson came out and was talking about the beauty community, kind of shat on it, kind of said that, famously said that James Charles needed a slice of humble pie the size of the Empire State Building. And it's like, James Charles to this day is still very young, right? Like,
yeah.
James Charles is 21.
Exactly, right.
James Charles is 21. So we've got like these 30-year-old men, like shitting on this 19-year-old boy, and he,
with for the most part unfounded.
Yeah, unfounded. And then people who were like upset by this, understandably, went out and started like finding receipts on Shane Dawson from this time. And Shane Dawson has done some pretty objectionable shit when he was way older than James Charles. So it's like no one loves a hypocrite. D'Angelo's video goes into this expertly. And he has a great tone throughout it, and it's done with respect. And that's like, I just like really, really liked this video. The stuff that Shane Dawson has done is insane. And like the main point that D'Angelo is making is that like Shane has apologized in the past, but he's not addressed the true stuff that he's been accused of. It's like, sure, I did blackface, sure, I said the N-word, and it's like he did that way too much. It's like gross as hell. There's like,
and is what, mid-20s?
Yeah. I mean, like, it's like a sketch where, Shane and let me just like, we'll see if this causes me to the audio to fall out of sync again, but I'm going to share my screen with you, which should result.
Is it available?
No, but I think I can find a Twitter thread. This is one that I feel like I can show you.
Okay.
Okay, well, maybe I can't find it. Okay, I'm going to spend 2 more seconds on this. You could hear that audio just now?
No.
Oh, I think I'm not sharing my audio. Un segund. Now I'm sharing my audio. I really want to find this just because of how like shitty it is. So I'm actually just going to pull up D'Angelo's video. Okay, you could hear that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to show you. He compares like Shane Dawson's blackface videos to minstrelsy, and I think that's exactly what it is, because unlike a, I'm showing you the graphics, but I'm not going to show the chat. Like that's the lightest it gets, like, because you can find like clips of him getting, okay, so he's like comparing like It's Always Sunny's blackface to like like this Shane Dawson shit. And it's like,
fuck me.
Yeah, it's like bad.
And what's the thesis of like the Always Sunny part that, well, that is not a joke about how it's funny to dress up as a black person.
Yeah, it's
that's a joke about how pathetic it would be to
black.
Dress up as a black person.
Like black people are always the butt of the joke, and that's kind of like,
yeah.
Unlike, the blackface in Community, where like Ken Jeong is in blackface as an elf. It's like he's not a black person, he's an elf, but then the black characters on screen comment on it.
I don't know what D'Angelo's case is on Always Sunny. I need to watch the video.
He says that, do I think this is funny in concept? Yes. Do I think it's funny in execution? No, I think it's like kind of cringy, which I actually agree with. Like watching it, it lost me. Like it was a bit that like kind of had me, and then it continued to go on, and then I was like, no. But yeah, it's like, it's not only the racist stuff, it's also like weird animal stuff he's done, where he just like makes all these like making out with dogs, like
weird animal stuff he's done is such a bad way to start any
humping dogs, making out with them, and then
I remember this,
talking about like how he wants to have sex with them.
And then stuff I don't even want to say on stream with his cat. Well,
that's a thing that he came out and said he didn't do. Yeah. And then, and then it continues to get bad when there's also like podcast clips that he's said in the past were taken out of context. So D'Angelo's just like, okay, I'm going to play a full like 6-minute clip or a few minute clip where you can hear the entire context of this, and it's like his joke, his quote unquote, like the joke is coming from like, isn't it crazy that I'm saying these shocking things? I'm calling a baby attractive. I'm doing this thing to Willow Smith. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Like, it's like, that's his joke. And it's just like, it doesn't work. And it's probably because he's not a comedian,
it's exactly what every 14-year-old thinks is funny. Not just because it's like quite immature or any of that shit. It's just like technically legally a joke, I guess.
Yeah.
You've taken a thing and done the thing that you shouldn't do. Ha ha ha, you got them. It's also a shortcut to being shocking is a shortcut to being funny, kind of.
Yeah.
Because it makes people laugh nervously, and I guess it's legally the same as making a funny joke.
Yeah, it's just that like it lacks a self-awareness, and it lacks like a wink and a nod or a commentary, and instead like leans into like the most harmful aspects of the thing that is supposed to be humorous. And the ultimate like worst shit in the world to me is let me check on the chat. Let's see how people are doing. Yeah. So okay. The actual worst thing he did to me, not to me, the worst thing he did in my perspective.
We'll get into that.
Is he kind of normalizes a lot of like abusive behavior. There's this thing about like him making all these really weird comments to his niece about puberty and about sex and stuff. And you could take that or leave it. Like, he claims that like that's just how our family is, whatever. But when you have a platform, you have to be mindful of like what sort of image you're giving to your audience. And also it's a pattern for him to like sexualize children, to the point where there's this horrible, to the point where at VidCon, he kissed a fan on the lips who was 12 years old, which is unacceptable. And then later that person came out and said like, essentially I was groomed by the content of Onision and like Shane Dawson because they normalized this behavior to me. And it's like, it's not about whether or not Shane intended to do this, because I don't think that he intended to do it. And I believe, his friends and other people who claim that he's a good guy and means well. The fact of the matter is that doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, like, if there's harm on the other end of your content on a large scale where you should be accountable to your large audience, an apology that addresses minor things here and minor things there doesn't get at the it's only going to feel hollow. Like kissing a 12-year-old fan on the lips when you're 21 years old? Like, how did you think that was okay?
Well, I would guess that making the kind of shit he's been making and kind of getting away with, I suppose, never being in trouble to the degree where it's actually disenfranchised or like destroyed his career.
Yeah.
Would start to make you feel
invincible.
Or there's it's not the first time we've heard people do absurd shit, but especially in his case. The thing you mentioned about if you have a platform of that scale, you have a responsibility.
Yeah.
And hey, you could ignore that responsibility, but then you're just as culpable for getting shit on as a result.
Yeah, you're always culpable at the end of the day. Yeah.
You have double the responsibility if it's very obviously a demographic of children.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
If you have like a bar and you, like, when people get into a fight, you don't stop them, and like you serve poison drinks, and you're just like a shitty, dirty, mean bar, that's really bad. If underage kids come into that shitty dive bar, you're in a whole new genre of shit.
Yeah, I also want to say, like, content warning way late. The content warning is for everything under the sun. Discussion of abuse of animals, of people, of, essentially pedophilia, even in a humorous context, or in an intended humorous context, and racism, obviously. So the worst thing from a content perspective. Oh, he also exchanged gum with another fan. And I'm like, there's just too many yes men who was underage. And it's like, there's too many yes men in this. There's too many parents who are complicit. There's too many adults in the room, Shane included, because he was an adult this entire time. I think he's been an adult since he started his channel, but that's beside the point. From a content perspective, the worst thing, I'm just looking at the chat real quick. Okay, see, people say it was a real... Okay, look, there's a comment here in the chat that I'm going to read. I don't like using it as an excuse, but it really was a different time. And a lot of people didn't really critically look at whatever fangirls were doing. People got away with a lot because people dismissed it as, oh, young fangirls are just so wild. That doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me.
I don't know what the statement is there.
Yeah. So
I don't like it. Are you using it as an excuse?
He's not using it as an excuse, but like, the thing is, I was around. I was there during this time. This was not okay. I was watching YouTube. Do you think the Vlog Brothers were up to this shit? No. And it's like, yes, there were some YouTube... it's like Michael Buckley, what the buck? He pushed the envelope. He got nowhere near this level of like nonsense. You know what I mean? Like
Harvey Weinstein's accusations don't only go back to the point where it was bad.
Yeah, it's like Hollywood was a different time. It's like, no, that doesn't. There's no excuse. That's the thing. It like doesn't matter what the context was. Because at the end of the day, if someone's... It's like, look, I'm sorry, my mental health and my background and my whatever, it was a different time. I did shoot a person. I did kill someone. But, like, you have to understand that, like, we were all killing people back then. It's like,
it was the Wild West.
Some people were killing people, but it was never okay. And I strongly disagree with anyone who says that, like, this was okay at the time or this was understandable at the time.
Not least of which because it castrates progress.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it was a different time. Okay, so when do we... At what point did the watershed end on doing this despicable shit? Yeah. Was it like 2009? So after that we can start being stressed out by things, but like what changes cultural standards aside from it always being a problem?
Yeah.
If we then came to him and was like, hey, this is really fucked up, he could be like, actually, we're currently in a different time.
Yeah.
I haven't been cancelled for this yet, so I don't think we're in the time where I should be.
And like the fact that like the only thing that like from a narrative perspective, the only thing that's true about it being a different time is that no one there was a lack of awareness because YouTube was a smaller community, and there was a lack of there was a lack of a dialogue sort of as a world community and as a culture in protecting people on the internet from abuse and different forms of abuse. Cause it's like, it's a new type of abuse in many ways. But in many other ways it's not. And like also like D'Angelo points this out, like Francesca Ramsey and other creators were calling out Shane's content in like 2007 or 2008. Like it wasn't just like flying under the radar to that extent, but like the people with the platforms, the people who were enabling were not saying no. Like, and that's to me the problem. Like it was consistently enabled, and that is a product of the culture, but it doesn't excuse anything.
I want to give it a shout out to I don't know if they want me to say the name or not, but the person that brought that up in the chat is saying that they're using it more as an example, though I don't think that devalues what we're saying, because it is.
For sure. And
I have seen that statement literally fucking everywhere used as a very real excuse of the behavior. They also gave the insight, or the interesting note, that like there was no proper representation for those fangirls, and that's correct.
Yeah.
The closest they would ever get is some kind of like cheeky, semi-comedic, like, oh my god, you did that with Shane Dawson, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, to be completely fucking honest with you, more often than not, they'd get the Lewinsky treatment.
Yeah.
They'd get the Monica Lewinsky
treatment. Yeah, it's a great example.
Like, oh my god, I can't believe you did that, or you let that happen.
Yeah,
and
like Monica Lewinsky
victim blaming is the obvious part.
Sexually abused by a very powerful man, and
we should say, I mean, I know maybe our demographic isn't old enough to know about that, but that's Bill Clinton,
former U.S. President Bill Clinton, sexually abused an intern, Monica Lewinsky, and
which when that was found out, she was ostracized.
She was the bad guy.
Her career and life was destroyed.
Yeah, and like now she talks about bullying online. She uses her platform for so much good, and I think she deserves like a shout out. What up, Monica Lewinsky? Like, and she just is
genuinely come on the pod. Actually,
genuinely come on the pod. She also has a clapback game like no other. Like on Twitter, she will.
Yeah, she's out of control.
Yeah. But I do agree. Okay, someone is saying that like with social media growing, it really is a different time. I agree that it's a different time now, and I agree that like we are having a dialogue about these things. It does not excuse past behavior. A lot about the time that we're in now is looking back on like what we allowed in the past, and like even if it's retroactive, finding sort of justice and sort of defending the people and the communities that were wronged. Do you know what I mean? So. Mm-hmm. The other thing on this Shane video that I'll say, the last thing, and it's the worst from a content perspective, is a series like called Hey Miley, I think, or something. Millie, it's probably Millie and not Miley, with the Fine Brothers, BT dubs. So apparently fuck the Fine Brothers, just gotta say that, because
well, that's not news.
Yeah, but it's just like they made, let me see if D'Angelo can explain it. So there's a series that the Fine Brothers and Shane Dawson made called Hey Millie, and it features Shane Dawson and a puppet who is supposed to be an 8-year-old girl named Millie. Already a problem, because the joke with Hey Millie is that this fictional 8-year-old is saying outlandish, inappropriate shit, and the adults in the room are going, ha ha ha, that's crazy. This is a joke. This has been a joke forever. Like literally, Sadie's sister was on Mad TV as a child, in a bit where she said something offensive, like she called somebody a bitch or something as a kid, and it's like ha ha ha. The kids are doing funny stuff. But this is so fucked up when you just like look at it, and you also know the audience. Mad TV's audience is adults, right? Like, and maybe it's like shitlord teenagers like us, but like the Shane Dawson's audience is children. Clearly, the people who are going to his meet and greets are like 12-year-old girls. So like that's what we're working with here. Yeah. No,
I feel like I'm doing a disservice by not bringing up the movie that the Fine Brothers directed, a trashy piece of shit movie. Don't watch it; it's boring, and you shouldn't put money in their pockets. They've got plenty of money coming from other unethical places. They made a movie called F the Prom. Pretty much it actually has a great commentary track on it, and they did a summary video pretty much at YouTube. Check it out. Unsubscribe from Jarvis, subscribe to them. Yep. You have a limited resource. You need to do that. That entire movie is filled front to back with, quote, jokes about statutory rape. It's like a central... There's constant people getting their like pants pulled down, always underage, and making jokes about blah, blah, blah. And then there's just straight up like... I kind of don't even want to repeat it. I will for context, but they're talking about the prom, and the prom's on the way, and there's a creepy lady teacher who's almost certainly a YouTuber, because why else would that person get an acting in this kind of movie? And she's just there like, enjoy the prom, everyone, and remember, it's only a statutory if you get caught. And it's like, ugh. It's not, it doesn't land like at all. The performance is bad, the timing is terrible, the like context doesn't really add up. Yeah. The world is not as absurd as that joke is. It's kind of like the South Park movie problem, where it's like, is this supposed to be a story, or what's actually happening here? That moment is so indicative of how something like that would happen, because I don't care if Raffi and Benny, is that the name? Who knows?
I don't know.
Dumb and Dumber. I don't care if they don't care that it's fucked up, and I don't care if they don't understand why it isn't funny. What I'm confused and like intellectually insulted by is the idea that they wouldn't see it's tactless. Like, like you can, think dumb shit, maybe even write dumb shit, but at the very least, from the most cynical way possible, as their like consultant, I would say like, yikes. Just like, even if I thought it was funny, I would just be like, don't put it in.
Yeah.
Don't put it in the movie, obviously. Like, oh yeah, funny bit with that puppet. Don't release it, obviously.
Yeah, it's like,
you crazy?
It gets worse, and I just can't show it. I can't have you watch it. I can't listen to it again myself. But it's like,
this is in D'Angelo's video.
It's in D'Angelo's video. It's like at some point the puppet is not wearing clothes. So it's like, okay, well, it's an 8-year-old, so what are we doing here, if that's the thing? And then there's also, like, sexual advances that the puppet is making towards Shane, saying some, like, outlandish shit. And it's like, stop. Just stop. Think about what you're doing, about what you're saying, and about who you're saying it to. And no one is doing that. It's just like everyone's like, ha, 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 YouTube content. I wanted to draw a comparison real quick, because we're talking about this stuff and talk about the time.
Oh, good find.
So like Bo Burnham, who we are both fans of. I think Bo Burnham is one of the like most inspirational artists to me in my creative life, and also just like an incredible creator.
I say an artist that's put out what I would be comfortable dying after.
Yeah. And so like when he was 16, he started his YouTube channel, and he was famous for making inappropriate jokes in song. But like, I don't know what separates, like, what the difference is. You know what I mean? Like, one, he's 16, so it is different. It is different for a 16-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
But it's also, it's just that it's framed in a clear parody.
I would say that there's two big... Funnily enough, we actually talked about, we talked about Bo Burnham on the super old Tyler May episode that we did, because we talked about his track Kill Yourself, and like how how comfortable are we with that implication?
Yeah,
Personally,
yeah.
I have no issue with it for the reasons that I'm about to highlight here. I am not the world's biggest fan of the icy cold take that you could do anything in comedy, bro. And if you stop comedy happening, well, I gotta make the Joker, I guess. You know, like that kind of shit. Shut up. No, just think like critically. We're not destroying comedy. Comedy requires an audience, and if the audience isn't engaged, it's not the audience's fault. Fucking grow up. The big W that I think Bo Burnham grasps, and we should point out that like Bo Burnham made 8th Grade, which is literally a movie about, how old is like 8? Is 8th grade like 12?
8th grade is 13.
Okay, so that is a movie about a 13-year-old girl that is produced with an awareness of how predatory the world can be, and handles it like so elegantly. I know for a fact it was not exclusively him that scripted up that stuff. He was very respectful of it.
Well, he paid attention to a lot of the young people. He watched a lot of like young people YouTube. LCK Fisher, who, not to brag, follows me on Twitter.
High quality Twitter.
Did you know this? Dude. She followed me on Twitter. No. Yeah. So
why?
Shout out to LCK Fisher, the absolute homie. Rock star, great Twitter.
Can I keep saying come on the pod?
I mean, yeah, we would definitely have LC on the pod. But like,
I love that.
But
like 8th grade specifically is a perfect example of how you can take challenging material and material that you may or may not be in a position to make things about, and you consult people who know what they're talking about, and you make sure that you're not making an unfair parody. The great thing about the way that Bo Burnham writes is that he's writing for a parody version of himself.
Mm-hmm.
The joke is the absurdity of the statement he's making, and how dumb fictional Bo, or how silly fictional Bo is for making that joke.
It feels like it exists inside of a world that it has defined for itself.
Yes.
Like similarly to like Anthony Jeselnik, who makes even like more outlandish humor, and that's his entire bit. And I think he pushes the line of comedy like the furthest, in terms of like what you can, like what, if you look at the transcript, what he's literally saying, it still feels different than like the Shane stuff. I'm going to read these Bo Burnham lyrics because it can like look, well, I'll read one that's like, I'll read the beginning of the song. What's a pirate minus the ship? Just a creative homeless guy and an anteater plus a large hungry mutant ant, an ironic way to die. And what's domain range? A kid with too much in his pants. 2 balls minus 1. 7 titles at the Tour de France. The Tour de France. Cancer. That's like a that's a Bo Burnham, thing. It's like he's making fun of a lot of things. He's doing it but there's also the upbeat construct of the song, and the fact. And
one of the reasons his shows work so well is that he's he's taking you as the audience's hand, and he's saying, "Do you want to come into my little house, my weird little house?" And it's full of. And you're like, don't you feel a bit bad for coming into my weird little house?
And it's a pun. And it's like, it's drawing the audience to like laugh at things that they shouldn't laugh at. And that's different than like Shane, because there's no jokes with Shane stuff. It's like saying the shocking thing is the joke. To me, Bo is like working for the joke. And this is Bo as like a 16 to 18-year-old. You know what I mean? So it's like
younger than Shane doing much more deplorable shit.
It's like now that I set up that, here's like maybe the worst one. Well, here's 2 of the worst ones. Let's see. And if Kim is half as old as Bobby, who is 2 years older than 12-year-old Tori, for how many more 30-day months will the threesomes be considered statutory rape? And it's like, ooh, a rape joke, And it's like, but in the construction of like a math problem and being drawn to that punchline, it serves a construct as a joke. And so it's like, whether or not it's appropriate or not is kind of not even the point I'm making. It is constructed as a joke. You have no idea where he's going. And then there's
that joke can only be served that way.
Yeah.
Again, it doesn't crack me up. This is not like younger material is remarkable for being 16, but it's not the stuff that I really
when I was 16 and listening to this, sang along to this song. I clearly know all the lyrics to it or whatever. And it's like, so I get it.
And the refrains.
I do. Yeah. The lyrics are actually wrong here on Genius and I'm correcting them.
You're crying.
And then the worst line is, in squaring numbers are just like women. If they're under 13, just do them in your head. And it's like, like it's a joke where it's like, once again, I can't sort of say the joke is okay because that's like for the viewer to understand or for the viewer to make their own conclusions. But the punchline of the joke isn't the expense of a young person. It's actually saying like, don't do, essentially like what this could be read as saying is, hey, Shane Dawson, if you are thinking about making a video where you're jerking off to to an image of underage 13-year-old Willow Smith, maybe just do that in your head and don't do it. So it's like there's even hey,
Benny and Rafi, maybe take that line out.
It's like even the 16-year-old Bo Burnham here is like has enough self-awareness to know that like to not go as far as Shane does.
So what's wrapping up, what is the final, like, Shane nail coffin wise? Where are we at?
So
my man's officially buried straight in the dirt, or what's going on?
So the he was temporarily, I'm just like reading what people have said while I was going through that bit to see if there's any like sort of takes that I want to touch on. Yeah, I think this is a great, someone said that It's Always Sunny joke, like I think that the Always Sunny joke is another example of something that like, I don't think, you can have your opinion about it, but it is thoughtful in how it's presented. And if you look at the transcript of what the people are saying, sure, it looks bad, but watching it in context, it is clearly a joke and it is clearly making a commentary. And the butt of the joke is not the butt
of the joke is D,
the marginalized party.
She is she is the joke.
And that's what upset me about the fact that Community, the episode Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, which is one of the best episodes of Community, was taken off of Netflix due to the blackface thing. And it's like, what do you mean? What do you mean? It's a commentary on blackface. Like, you have Donald Glover and Yvette Nicole Brown commenting on it during it, and he's not even a black person. He's an elf, right? Like, it's the butt of the joke is Ken Jeong not knowing where the line is, not knowing that it's inappropriate to do blackface under any context, even when he's not being a black person. You know what I mean? And like, to take away that, like, it kind of loses. Community came out in 2009. Community came out in 2009, the same year that Shane Dawson was doing blackface and was making smart jokes about not doing blackface. Like, that could have very easily been, like, it's so...
And in both of these examples, the people doing it are the ones that are comedically out of touch.
Yeah.
By which I mean hilariously out of touch. They don't understand what it is that they've been doing wrong, and that's not because you can't make jokes about anything these days, bro. Gotta go make the Joker. Bad movie, don't believe otherwise. If you do, you probably need to like think more about the media you consume.
Yeah.
That's not the response to it. Your response needs to be, hey, I see. They're critiquing the behavior of those people, and removing critiques of that behavior is kind of just like, oh, okay, so the only blackface material that could exist anywhere is people doing it sincerely?
Yeah.
Like Shane having a platform, being able to do that even in the abstract for so long.
Built on blackface, yeah. The other thing is that, like, it's people like to pretend that people weren't protesting or critiquing stuff at the time. Bo Burnham was like boycotted and stuff, and he was like,
oh yeah.
Like, people like protested him performing at their shows, even though he was like an 18-year-old kid making these like off-color jokes. So, and it's like, don't even get me started on Eminem, who said a bunch of outlandish shit, even under the guise of a character, where like he, he's been protested and demonstrated against. Picket signs for his wicked rhymes. Look at the times. What was that? 2003?
It was a different times.
2003, And he was being picketed for homophobia. And Shane Dawson is doing fucking, like, and I say this, I'm not trying to compare the plights sort of the LGBTQ plus community and of black people. I do not want to make that thing. But I want to draw it to, like, we were in a time cleaning out my closet. Let me just, 2002. Wow, and then, and gay marriage wasn't legalized in America until 2015. So I just want to, like...
Well, I mean, there's two types of this statement, right? And I know which one you're doing, and I want to make it really clear to everyone. There's a statement of, it was a different time, so here were the things that were happening differently, versus this was a different time, so excuse this thing over the other. This is close to saying, like, it was a different time, and that's why all the guys on Mad Men are horrible sexists and creeps. Not, it was a different time, so leave Don Draper alone for being a weird sexist creep.
I'm just saying that, like, it was a different time should not stand up as a defense of Shane Dawson's behavior, because we have, like, sort of comparable... I don't even think they're that comparable. I think that in any of the examples, Shane Dawson's behavior is far worse than anything, like... Well, I don't know. I don't want to compare them because it's like, it's tough. But I would say that, like, the artistry, there is artistry to Eminem's work. There's artistry to Bo Burnham's work. And I do not feel like Shane's stuff has that artistry. And thus it, like, doesn't deserve the, like, you could write think pieces about Bo Burnham or Eminem, right? And, like, sort of try to tease apart what they've contributed to the culture and what they've taken away by propagating any harmful ideas. Less so for Bo Burnham because he, like, after he was a teenager, he kind of got away from that stuff. Sure. But
can I throw something?
Wait, let me just land this idea
sorry.
real quick.
Get that plane.
But the thing is that even 6 years before Shane Dawson would do an offensive thing that is offensive to everyone involved, except for children who don't know any better, and was protested and demonstrated against 12 years before, you know, the same-sex marriage would even be legalized in America. Like, if Shane Dawson's stuff had reached out more widely, no doubt he would have been, like, criticized. Now it's just coming to light because the eyeballs weren't... He's built an entire platform on this. And I think it's, like, appropriate to... Yeah, someone's saying it could possibly be because YouTube was so insular back then. That's what I'm saying. It's like... I'm saying that, like, it was so insular back then, but he built a sort of... he built a career on it. So I think it's fair game to criticize and to sort of hold accountable someone in a powerful position. So
you don't get to have the power and also the immunity of ignorance.
Yeah,
that's like ignorance and benefit of the doubt are the things you have to check at the door when you go into the influencer club.
Yeah,
like once you are in a position of power and you have clout in any career, but let's, like, you know, keep it in circle with specifically creators and content producers, there's a tax on being that. And the tax is you have to be more responsible than most people do with those kind of statements. It's a little bit like how if you have 30 grand in the bank, you don't get to gripe about being broke. It can be cathartic to gripe about being broke, but once you have that 30 grand in the bank, sorry, that's the thing you don't get anymore. Yeah. That's the trade-off. And you're like you theoretical 30 grand in the bank kind of person, it's like bummer. I wish you the best. I only want you to enjoy all the good things you can in the world. But that is the one thing you miss out on in the trade is that you get to have 30 grand in the bank.
Yeah.
This is just like that. You can feign ignorance all you want. You can pull back and you can say that, well, I, J.K. Rowling, am I'm allowed just like anybody else to hold an opinion and then also decry the issues with cancel culture. Cancel culture isn't like some fucking amorphous, magical like presence floating all around us. Oh my God, look out everyone. It's the disease of cancel culture. We have to run away from it.
Yeah.
It's just, all cancel culture is people's reaction to shit you did.
Yeah.
when you say you want rid of cancel culture, what you're saying is, I don't want people to react this way to the thing that's happening. That's not a thing you can do. That's not a power that you or anybody else has. And the idea that we could say to, in Shane's case, well, Shane didn't understand this. It was a different time. And also, they were coming up. And I would even critique Bo Burnham. I don't have any kind of hot takes about it, so I have nothing to say. But if somebody were to critique Bo Burnham about the same stuff,
I think
his age would be a factor.
I think there's a good faith argument to be made there. But what I'm trying to say is like not excusing any of it, it's just on its face objectionable behavior.
Yeah. And people have actually thrown out, I know, like a ton of other comparisons. Tyler, the Creator, Joji.
Yeah. Filthy Frank as
Filthy
Joji.
Frank's whole thing, which also, like, nobody knows anymore.
Yeah, that's funny.
Like, there's a lot of people that are very surprised by that.
Yeah, and it's...
Filthy Frank was so... Again, you can challenge things like that if you want. And this itches an instinct that I have that I don't know how comfortable I am. I'm not even sure if I agree with it, but I wanted to throw it to you to see whether or not you're on roughly the same page. There is a part of me that does value how funny it is. And it's not because, well, if it's funny, I can ignore the problematic part of it. What it is if a joke, a track, or whatever is really well constructed, there is a small part of Jordan that's able to say to himself, well, in order to make a really good joke, you do have to think critically. And I'm willing to bet this person gets it. Like, Jeselnik is a great example. Like, when I hear Jeselnik make a joke about X or Y, I don't go, well, that's got to be close to his real personal beliefs. It's so deliberately absurd and well put together. I'm like, nobody that thinks like that and puts things together with that level of intricacy just did it randomly. There's just no way.
Or even something like South Park, like it's just like a lot of thought goes into, even though the stuff being said is like objectionable in a lot of different ways. Like, I think there is value, and I also don't know where I stand on this, but I do think that there's value in the work that was put in. Like, for example, like when if I make a video shitting on 5 Minute Crafts or shitting on J Station, like, I don't like shit on just anybody. And I shit on J Station because there's a subtext to what I'm making fun of. And like, you may look at a very simple joke of me just like saying J Station like sounds stupid or does something stupid or whatever. But what I'm actually doing is punching down at like J Station's premise of his video that homophobia is funny. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's like, in calling out like that, it's like, it's clear that I've thought about like I guess for me, it's like, I always think about what my commentary means, what it means for me to comment on this thing, similar to
what's the end goal and what's the damage it could do, and is that a concern?
Yeah, there is a...
Cody Ko is not a cyberbully.
Yeah.
I think we can say that with some authority, but if you want to pick and choose literally what it is that he's doing... Yeah, he did identify somebody online and said funny things about them that could be considered mean, but to just give those pieces, that's not a court case, baby. That is way too selective. That's way too contextual. Yeah. If I went through your video... any of the videos where I suppose people could categorize it that way, because most people are very stupid, I could very comfortably put together like a little blurb, single paragraph, this is why Jarvis cancelled Jarvis Johnson party, whatever. Yeah. But on closer inspection, no. You more closely inspect any of the Shane Dawson shit, doesn't fix it, doesn't resolve it. Doesn't absolve him of all the shit. All it does is like maybe make it worse in a lot of cases. It's like, oh, Shane did that pretty bad stuff. What about his other content? Oh, that's the worst thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, and I think that, to blame YouTube a little bit too, I think that YouTube is somewhat complicit because of like their view on the types of content that they are willing to take a stand against versus not. Shane had his past for the entirety of his past, and yet YouTube kind of co-signed him for a lot of the way. He's recently been suspended from his ads. It's a little bit of a golden parachute for Shane Dawson, to answer the earlier question that you were saying about like, where do we land right now? And it's like, YouTube has had this like very laissez-faire, very hands-off perspective on the content on its platform, unless it gets into like like actively endangering someone in terms of violence or what have you. But when it comes to these more insidious ways that people harm, like any one of fucking J Station's videos, somehow like it takes for J Station to get arrested for his YouTube channel to go away. And it's like, that's not, his channel should have gone away a long time ago, because all one person has to do is look at what he's doing and say buying slaves off the dark web isn't someone that deserves to have a platform, you know? Like,
and the idea, like, kind of obfuscating that responsibility, like there's some kind of ironclad law as to what should be done, is frankly fucking pathetic. Like the idea that, well, we don't have to kick them off the platform, so it can't be that bad. And the thing is that if you're not kicking them off the platform, Twitter obviously has plenty of issues in the same realm. If you don't kick a neo-Nazi off the platform, what you implicitly say is that it's okay to be a neo-Nazi.
Yeah.
You can throw smoke, you can throw bombs just as much as you want to block the fact that you're doing that. You can say, well, nope, Your Honor, I plead the fifth. I wasn't involved at all.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, you didn't defuse the bomb, did you?
And I think
you didn't do the thing, but you didn't stop the thing when you had absolute power to do so. It's just embarrassing. And hiding behind the corporate scale too is a big part of that. Like, oh well, we're YouTube, we're just a big robot.
And I think that it's kind of like I feel like morally responsible, knowing what I know now about Shane's content, to tell other people who may not know what has transpired in the past, because I'm not thinking about, if I had seen D'Angelo's video when when I first followed Shane Dawson on Twitter or something, I wouldn't have followed him on Twitter, and I would have constantly been asking, why are we supporting this man? Kind of like how it's like, why are we supporting Chris Brown? We know he beat Rihanna, and he's not demonstrated that he's gotten better as a person. He's consistently displayed aggressive behavior towards women, and yet he's continued to be co-signed by all of the biggest people in the music industry. And so it's like, what do you mean? Cancel culture? Like, it's like, where's the cancel culture for Chris Brown? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, because he's cute. Have you seen how his stans defend him? It's like, but he's so attractive. I wish he did that to me, is literally like something that they say. And it's absurd, and it's not okay. And I think that like we need to sort of be mindful of like who we're propping up with this sort of behavior. And Shane, like, it's like, I want him to be better. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think his platform's going away. I think that like, by no means is Shane Dawson going to lose his entire audience and his entire income. Instead, he is hopefully going to learn from this experience and move forward in a more like, in a cleaner way, you know, like having addressed this stuff and knowing, like he's not going to lose his livelihood. So I don't think that we should worry about holding him accountable for his past actions, because
it's not also fuck off with that shit. I'm so sick of, well, don't destroy a man's job.
Yeah.
It's like, fucking, sorry, excuse you?
Yeah.
What? That's not... It's just like when COVID hit, and all of a sudden everybody was like, "Well, but if you can't pay rent,
Jordan,
you're screwing over your landlord."
You're staticking again. I think it's good.
That sounds okay to me.
Okay, so you were saying cancel culture. You're a fan of it.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I've been asleep for a couple of weeks, but what's JK doing?
Oh, JK Rowling, man.
I wish it was only a couple of weeks. Jesus, it's been like
that's like the most
absurd.
Of years. That's the most absurd thing to me, and we can make a whole episode about this. But like the fact that JK Rowling is like doubling down and is being like, this is the problem that we need to address right now. I can't say that the outlandish shit that I want to say, and people are challenging it. That's not. I should be allowed to use the world's largest platform to say whatever I want to say, and it should be completely unchallenged.
They shouldn't challenge that. I can say what I want with my position of power, and I can put other people in jeopardy. Physical jeopardy is a huge part of it. What she's probably thinking is like, yeah, I can get some trans people harassed on Twitter by clapping back with a super weak take at them. But then if somebody's saying something mean to me online, hold on, that's abuse. I'm afraid that's not fair. You privilege breaks your brain,
Yeah.
baby. It just does. It snaps the way that you think. If you're famous and powerful for too long, you start to... It's probably been literally years since something happened to J.K. Rowling that she didn't like.
Yeah.
Like, it's probably literally been the best part of a decade, with the exception of, like, Fantastic Beasts coming out and nobody liking it. Nothing has ever happened to her for years that she didn't want or was fine with. So it's all of a sudden, you come along and you, like, give them a little shove. You tap somebody on the side that's never felt pain before, you pinch them one time, they're going to think you're trying to kill them.
Yeah.
Like, the perspective is so warped.
Yeah, I mean...
And that's like a lot of Shane and Chris Brown stands seem to be doing.
Yeah, or, I mean, Jake Paul, who's like, I'm being silenced by YouTube. And it's like, homie, these are the consequences of the platform that you built.
But I don't like it.
Yeah, and I just think it's important for, 10 years from now, when Shane is still making content, for people to know his past before they become a fan of him, so that they can move forward with a clear conscience, and also hopefully he's sort of gotten his shit together. And that's all we want, because his platform's not going to go away. It's like, Jake Paul, your platform's not going to go away. I just want you to be better and to acknowledge your past.
Platform is there. Like, I would love nothing more than for him to make a effective and sincere apology, not just because it would stop hurting the people that he's hurt and stop upsetting the people that he's upset, but think about that stan base now. Now you've just taken an army of people refusing to listen to logic and refusing to grow.
Yeah.
Refusing to listen to Bobby Tarantino.
Yeah, Bobby Tarantino.
And now you've, like, weaponized them in a good way.
Yeah.
If they're going to irrationally follow anything you say they should believe, then say that they should believe that you shouldn't mock children and shouldn't do some pretty fucking heinous shit in public with the guise of being famous.
Like, it would be so good for Shane to come out and talk about what he's done and talk about why it's bad, so that he can demonstrate that for his followers. Because him just apologizing and people being like, I accept your apology, all of which are like teeny boppers, who like don't really know the extent of what he's done. It's like going to make him feel good and like he's off scot-free or whatever, but doesn't actually serve to address the problem. So with that, we should end the show, but we should end it on a positive note. I think that I want to thank you, Jordan, for engaging in this topic with me and talking to me on a sunny Sunday, and just being a good old boy.
Thanks, man.
I want to thank the people who are tuning in on twitch.tv/sadboyspod for keeping us company. And
which you too could do. You, and I am pointing into the ears of the podcast listener.
Yeah.
You too could tune in. We do it on Sundays, every single Sunday at noon. Perhaps we're 5 years in the future and Sundays don't even exist anymore or whatever, but you check the Instagram, Sad Boys Pod on Instagram, the Twitter, Sad Boys Pod on Twitter. We'll tell you when to come listen.
We end every episode of Sad Boys with a particular phrase.
We love you.
And we're sorry.
Gucci girl, how you doing? How you moving, girl? Moving, girl. How's your day looking? That future girl, yeah, we on now. Take my money, go away.